Cyberpunk 2077. Thanks for watching. Welcome to my TubeU channel. Today we're discussing a very low budget title that nobody even knows about, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, full disclosure, I have been very excited about this game for a few years now, number of years. I shrieked when I finally saw the game capes. I was so blind to the reported glitches and bugs that were being reported because I was just so in disbelief that I was opening this game up and putting it into my console finally. And I know the performance of the game has been a sour point for a lot of people, and I get it. I too have had a lot of performance issues. Really, I only played the game so far for about 10 hours. By the time you're seeing this, I have likely logged in more hours, so yeah, you might be saying, how can you do impressions video when you only played 10 hours? Because this isn't my impressions video. It's a full review. 75 out of 10, final score, perfect game. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to talk about my experience with the game and maybe kind of describe in a sense what I was thinking and how the game was holding up or performing or not performing. I was on my own hype train and now it's pulled into the station. Come on, that was kind of a good one, right? So yes, this will be an early impressions video, but I will continue to update you on my progress as I go and maybe report bugs and glitches here as they come out or as I experience them. I did play with the day 1 patch and apparently also a day 2 patch that came out just yesterday. For reference, the day 1 patch was about 46 gigabytes and this new one is like 18. And I did play with the latest update, so that will be reflected in a bit in my performance discussion later in the video. Anyway, I am sorry for the long intro. I just want to make a few things clear off the bat. If you haven't gone to another video yet, or just haven't straight up turned me off, that came out wrong. We're gonna get into it. This will be a spoiler-free. Okay, so first impressions are a big deal. You meet someone, you watch a movie or a show, first thing you see you'll remember forever. And I picked the corporal life path and it just had this really cool atmosphere upon me starting that immediately pulled me into the experience. I created my character, genitals and all, and off I went to the world of Night City. I don't think it can be disputed that this game features some of the best world building I've seen in a game in a while. The world building lore, filling out the experience with interesting stories. I spent a good majority of my time reading the little chips you find everywhere, and I never read those in games. I like never. I was just so enthralled by the world that CD Projekt Red had created that I felt compelled to learn more. I even read the compendium a bit that came with the game. I don't have it ready. They got me to read voluntarily. It's incredible to be able to report that even after such a short amount of time playing, I feel I could talk for hours about this game's world in the first, 10 hours of my experience than a lot of games I can talk about in 25. It just feels very diverse and dense and populated, and it feels so lived in. It's really mind-blowing. And I'm not even talking about the verticality of the level design just yet. It just feels purposeful, like every asset seems to have been created with meaning behind it. Trash littering the streets, the sound of chatter in crowded areas, and even layers of buildings several stories high where you'll find people just living their lives or residing. Now that does bring me to the level design. In just a short time span, it's incredible the level of verticality the game offers you. Sure, you have a bigger map or you have a map with layers and it's just packed with characters and interesting things to see and do. It's quite impressive in a lot of ways, and I'm a sucker for verticality in level design. Words are very hard for me to speak, apparently. They also allow you to tackle the objectives in the way you see fit, and that is a testament to how complex and deep its systems are, that it lets you and accounts for you doing your own thing. And again, I know my playtime was short, but it's just obvious Cyberpunk is about letting you play your own way, and that way might be stealthy, or even hacking to distract enemies. Divide and conquer, my man, come on. Divide and conquer. The skill trees, I feel, also offered a lot of flexibility in developing your character. There's so many to choose from, it's very overwhelming. Like, there's 5 attribute skills and then tons and tons of perks underneath those, and I spent at least one of my 5.5 hours reading skills and menus. I just wanted to pick the right option. I don't know if I did yet, we'll find out later. And I can already tell I'm going to spend a big chunk of my time attaching modifications and implants and customizing my outfits and gear and weapons and mods. And I was even a little worried, like a lot of other people, that they might skimp out on some of the RPG stuff, but so far it doesn't appear that they skimped at all. Now, the gameplay was fine so far. It's not as tight as a native first-person shooter, naturally, but it's also not an FPS, it's an RPG game. Driving has felt weird so far, in my opinion. It almost like the car is fighting with me to get me to crash, or it almost felt floaty, like the car didn't like me. Damn you, CD Projekt Red. And again, look, for clarity's sake, I only have played about 10 hours, give or take, and those were some of my thoughts and takeaways. I don't want to misrepresent myself and have you think that I'm pretending I played more than I did. These are really just my impressions, and they could change. And I'll keep you updated, of course, on my thinking as I continue playing, but right now that's just how I feel as it stands. Now let's discuss the elephant in the room, or lack of an elephant in the room, the performance. I am playing on a PS5, so just at the outset that puts me at more of an advantage than some people. Some would call it a base PS5, though there's only one right now, so it's just a PS5. Like many of you, I spent time looking at coverage and reading about what people were saying about the game, and the consensus seems to be the game was not optimized well for consoles, especially last-gen consoles, i.e. PS4 and Xbox One. Apparently it's performing much better on PC, and all versions of course are suffering some sort of issues, but the PC version, I believe its day one patch is like 6 gigabytes. Consoles, on the contrary, I downloaded the first 46 gigabyte patch on release and then 18 gigabyte patch just yesterday. I thought, well, I did have some issues, which I'll get into, but my game did crash after I played the latest update. So you know, really good patch. In all seriousness, if the update works, I won't even experience the issues they reportedly fixed, so it would be a win-win. One good thing that I think came out of the latest update that I think is really good is that some of the modifications for the brain dancing mechanic, the flashing effect, to help reduce the risk of epilepsy for those at risk. The issue was first reported by Liana Rupert, a Game Informer, with an epilepsy PSA for the game, and then she purportedly worked with the studio, and they responded very quickly and resolved it. So hats off to her for reporting it, and hats off to CD Projekt Red for responding and acting swiftly. Okay, and I did play after the day 1 patch, and then what I will call the day 2 patch. I know people were reporting a lot of issues, and to be honest, I didn't run into nearly as many. Regardless, I still experienced some technical visuals, bugs, and glitches in the beginning of my experience. Not a huge deal, as the game usually self-corrects it right away, or at least appeared to. And these included things like floating guns and objects, visual spasms, I don't know if I have the clip, so try and close your eyes and just imagine stretching the geometry of certain assets around, because the game's just running very well. There's also a very specific scenario I can remember early on where I saw one of your companions, or one of the characters in the game, walking ahead of you into a room with 2 of his guns, and he was gone and the guns were laying there, and then or just floating there rather, and then all of a sudden I just see him in the other room and his guns just magically appear on him, and the guns that are floating are gone. It was very strange, but other than that, nothing crazy, I guess. But then my game crashed at hour 4. Played for another hour and a half, no issues. Then after the second patch, I played for an hour and it crashed again. And I've talked to a few people who I know, and I realize this is anecdotal, but I talked to a few people who say it happened while they were driving to another area, and I was shocked. I was almost excited, oh my god, me too! Both times the game crashed, that's what happened to me. I don't know, is it something with the driving? Who knows? The bugs, though, they can't be all bad, of course, knowing that. How about that camaraderie? How about thank you, CD Projekt Red, for giving us something to bond over, huh? Huh? Now, obviously, I can only speak for myself, but I think I am fairly easygoing and positive, I guess, most of the time. Because to an extent I can forgive a game crashing once or twice every once in a while, and I know, we shouldn't have to accept that either. I'm just saying I can live with it happening once every now and again. And when I say that, I mean if I played this game for 50 hours, and it crashes once the whole time, that sucked. No harm, no foul though. If it happens 2 or 3 times, it starts to get on my nerves for sure. And if it happens any more than 5 times, well, that shit broke. It broke. I also noticed the game sometimes was running at 60 FPS. sometimes it wasn't. I think after these last few updates, it's been way more stable, and I'm not going to suggest it's locked at 60, but it does hit 60 rather frequently, and it makes me excited to see how the next gen upgrade is going to turn out. Now, of course, I want to play more and definitely will update you on my progress as I continue to. I hope there's some more patches out by then, and eventually I'll have a better idea of how this game is actually holding up or what's going on. You know, and obviously there's hundreds of videos like this, but the reason I'm making mine is because I just want to talk about this game, which I was very excited for, and also just give you updates as I go as to how the game is holding up and performing on a consistent basis. And obviously I can only speak to my own experience with the game, but my game didn't run that badly on my PS5 so far, or badly at all. It ran fine aside from some of those hiccups that I mentioned earlier. And really, it just... It upsets me because we should all be talking about the game's content and its story and characters, and I think we will get to that point at some time in the future, but right now all we can talk about is how the game is faring on consoles. Anyway, those are some of my impressions, thoughts, and performance-related issues in Cyberpunk 2077. I'll update you as I continue playing if there's anything else substantial. In any case, thank you for watching, and if you like what you saw, maybe like the video. If you didn't, dislike it. Subscribe if you're feeling naughty. That also came out wrong. See you later. I love you. Maybe.